Hello and welcome back. I'm Dr. Abhishek Kumar, and in this video series, we are trying to develop a strategy of scoring 300 plus in botany optional in the civil service main examination and the same percentage of marks in the Indian Forest Service examination as well. We have already done two videos in this series of 6 videos. In the first video, we got a sense of what the botany strategy would look like. And in the second A and B video, we respectively saw the analysis of paper 1 and paper 2 syllabi of botany optional. And in this third one, we are going to take a look on the reading list for botany optional. Like we have earlier discussed also, this series is basically aimed at helping the students who are preparing for 2025 or 2026 examination. There will be a different strategy required for the students who are expecting to face 2024 main examination. But that strategy we will be looking into after the prelim examination, because as of now, everybody who's expecting to face the 2024 examination is busy preparing for the prelim, and justifiably so. But all those students who are preparing for 2025 and 2026 examination without taking any coaching all by themselves, this reading list is going to be very, very helpful. If you are planning to take coaching, I would suggest you should not be following this reading list, because in that case, your preparation will depend on very different set of material, essentially the material that I will be providing to you by way of class notes, by way of my study material, handouts and all of that. And then you really do not need to spend your time, energy and money on these books. But if you are wanting to prepare for any reason by yourself this optional subject, then this reading list is going to be very, very helpful. I would say completely adequate, provided you know how to use these books. So without much ado, let us move to the agenda of this video, where we are going to see the reading list. And in this particular video, we are basically going to touch upon the 4 topics. First and foremost, I am deliberately calling it the easy reading list. So what do I mean by easy reading list? Then I am going to suggest you a basic book where your botany preparation should ideally start, especially if you have not studied botany as a major subject in your graduation. Let's say that you are a biotechnology graduate, or you are agriculture graduate, you are forestry graduate. Now you want to take botany optional. Then what should be your ideal starting point if you are preparing on your own? Because if you build a good basic, then upon this good basic, this robust basic, you can build your entire preparation. But without basic, it will be very hard to navigate through the specialized topics and develop the standard that the UPSC is expecting. The UPSC is not expecting very high or unrealistic level from you. UPSC is expecting, and it has made it amply clear as well, that it expects you to understand this subject at BSc honors level, the way it is taught in most of the good universities in our country. You can take Delhi University Botany honors coverage for your reference. That is a well reputed central university, and the level at which botany is taught at honors level in this university, or for that matter any other good university in the country, that is the standard the UPSC expects you to achieve. But when we talk about that standard, even that standard requires that you have a very clear understanding of the fundamentals. Without that, it will be hard to make sense of those specialized topics, like I said earlier. So after this basic, I am going to take you through the books, my recommendation of books according to the different areas of the syllabus. The entire botany syllabus, as we have previously covered in video 2A and video 2B of the same series, is divided into paper 1 and paper 2, and in both the papers there are so many small little to medium sized areas, and for each area in this one, my effort has been to give you a single books recommendation, unlike lot of recommendation where for the same area multiple books are recommended. A single books recommendation, which is in the light of present trend of the questions, going to be most adequate for your botany preparation. So area wise recommendation of book is the third item that we are going to discuss. And finally, a basic idea of how to use these books. So that's what we are going to do. And now let us see, what do I mean by easy? So the first thing is that I'm calling it easy because I'm suggesting only one book per area, not more than one book. if you do this one book, and that too selectively, you don't need to read any book cover to cover. Very definitely, you need to read these advanced books only for the topics which are given in your syllabus, but only after building your basic. That will be more than adequate if you are making your own notes from these books. Second is, together these books cover 95% or a little more than 95% of your entire botany syllabus. Those few 4 to 5% topics which are left out of these books, you can easily find their coverage on the internet. There are so many very good websites, educational websites. I'm not even mentioning Wikipedia kind of website, but good, authentic, university hosted websites which give you a nice coverage of those remaining 5% of the topics. You don't need to worry about the remaining 5% topic. So 95% or a little more coverage is given by these books. The third point is, these books are easily available, primarily because all the books that I am going to recommend today are brought out by Indian publishing houses. So there are good chances that you will be getting these books in your local bookstores. If not, you can always order them from Amazon or Flipkart. And when we are talking about the availability of books, I will highly recommend that you should not be buying all the books at one go. One, it will look very big pile of books. You will be fearing the very sight of so many books together, and somewhere the task will be looking more daunting than what it actually is. Therefore, go for the books one by one. First and foremost, buy just the basic book and start reading the book, building your fundamental. So initially, all that you need is set of 3 books. One, the syllabus. You don't even need to buy this. You need to download this with the UPSC notification. So the current year's notification is already out. Download that PDF. There you get the latest UPSC suggested botany syllabus. Second thing that you have to do is that you have to buy the previous year question paper where at least last 15 years questions are given. And the third, the zero level book, the basic book from where I am going to recommend you to start your preparation. Only these 3. Once you have gone through the basic book, then buy the first set of books. I mean 2 books, microbiology and plant pathology. Do that. Once you are done with that, once you have made notes, then move to the next set of books, and then only you buy those books. Otherwise, you should not be hurrying up and buying all the books at one go. That will unnecessarily waste your money and also will have some degree of negative psychological impact. You should be slowly buying the books. These books are written by Indian authors. They have been written in a proper structure and therefore they are easy to understand. The books are written more or less in the same manner in which this subject is taught in various colleges and universities of our country. So the way you have understood this subject, or for that matter understood any other biological science subject, is largely the same way in which these books are written. Therefore, these books will be easy to understand. Next is, these books are very easy to make notes from, given the structure of these books, the way the entire subject matter is organized, the structure in which the subject matter is organized is already very crisp, already very aligned. And when you are making notes from these sources, it will be very easy to make notes from these sources. And last but not the least, compared to overseas authors' books, compared to foreign publication houses' books, these books are way cheaper. Given the today's exchange rates and all, the foreign author books are very, very expensive. And even in the libraries, these books are available in limited number of copies, and it will be hard to borrow those books from your library. So I have kept the list of books by Indian authors, and by all standards, these books meet all the requirements posed by the UPSC Civil Service or UPSC Indian Forest Service syllabus, both in terms of quantity as well as quality. Now, let us move to level 0 book. Level 0 book is non-negotiable. If you are wanting to prepare botany optional on your own, and if you have not studied botany as your major subject in graduation, this is where your botany preparation would be starting. Else, you will feel yourself very, very lost and you will be unable to establish interconnection among the topics. And my recommendation is for level 0 book is textbook of botany for NEET, that is the medical entrance examination. This book is brought out by Wiley publication, and this is an amazingly written book, very nice illustration, simple explanation, and it by and large gives you a very good grounding in practically every single topic of your botany optional syllabus. Highly dependable book. And later on, there are going to be a lot of diagrams from this book which can be utilized in your actual main examination notes. So when you are making notes for the main examination, you can straight away pick up a lot of diagrams from this book and you can use in your main examination. Such is the quality of illustration. And from here, you can also learn how to write simply in this optional subject. Okay. So highly recommended textbook of botany for NEET. That should be your starting material. It will take you around 1 month's time to do this book, provided you are spending about 4 hours a day. Now we come to the books for paper 1. Before we move to the recommendation of books, why not we remind ourselves what are the areas in paper 1 of botany. The paper 1 of botany essentially starts with microbiology and plant pathology. Then it has cryptogams. Cryptogams has got 4 subparts: algae, fungi, bryophyta and pteridophyta. Then in section B, the first topic is phanerogams, basically the seed bearing plants. It starts with gymnosperms. After that, angiosperm systematics and families, angiospermic anatomy, angiospermic embryology. Then there is a related topic, but it is mentioned separately: morphogenesis, essentially plant tissue culture, and finally plant resource development, which is a fancier way of telling you to study economic botany. So these are the areas in paper 1 of botany. For every single area, just one book. And remember, no book has to be done cover to cover. Once you have built your basics, you can afford to be pretty selective in these books. You will exactly know what chapter to study and what chapter to leave, because these books are written for university examination. So the scope of coverage in these books is much more than what the UPSC syllabus is, but you will stay away from the topics which are not mentioned in your syllabus. UPSC botany occasionally gives you a couple of out of syllabus short notes, but even if you ignore all these out of syllabus questions, you are totally safe, because ultimately you have to write only 5 answers out of 8, and not even one question is out of the syllabus. It is sometimes a sub part of a question which may be on the fringes of the syllabus, not totally out of the syllabus. Therefore, stick to the syllabus, but try to do the entire list of topics mentioned in the syllabus, at least when you are covering it. At the time of revision, you can afford to be a little more selective, but at this point in time, what you should be doing is to cover the entire prescribed syllabus. And here is my recommendation of books. So first, we are going to see the book for microbiology and plant pathology. Both the books are written by Dr. P.D. Sharma. He retired from Delhi University Department of Botany, an outstanding teacher and equally an amazing author when it comes to microbiology and when it comes to plant pathology. Very nicely written book. Every single topic that you will be finding in the UPSC syllabus in microbiome and plant patho, or for that matter, every single question which have been asked in the last 15 years, they will be adequately covered by these two books. Very nice books. And since compulsory questions are asked from microbiology and plant pathology, these books are totally indispensable, totally indispensable. Very clear explanation, timely updates are also given, and the level of updation that is there in this book, these two books, that is more than adequate for your civil service preparation. Mind it, I am revising it, repeating it again, that you do not need to read this book or any book in this recommendation cover to cover. That will be a wastage of time and energy. Don't do that. Stick to the topics which are clearly given in the syllabus, and further clarity will be coming upon you when you go through the last 15 years questions also. So that is microbiology and plant pathology. And now let us see the cryptogams, basically algae and fungi. Cryptogams as a group has got 4 groups of organisms: algae, fungi, bryo and pterido. Bryo and pterido are proper plants. Green algae are ancestor to the plants, but rest of the algae are not, and fungi are totally different from plants. So now my recommendation for algae and fungi will be excellent books written by Dr. O.P. Sharma. So this Publication is MedTech Science Press, and very nicely written book on algae, very nicely written book on fungi. Every single question that has been asked in the civil service main examination can be answered based on these books, and it covers the entire scope of the syllabus. Easily available book, affordably available book. So the textbook is named as Fundamentals of Algae by O.P. Sharma and Textbook of Fungi and Allied Microorganisms by Dr. O.P. Sharma. So you have to do these two books for algae and fungi. Important thing is to look at the syllabus very closely, and in algae and fungi, to get a sense of what all genera are important to be done, you should ideally be looking into the last 20 years of question, and you will have a fairly clear idea of what all genera are to be done and what are the emphasis areas in the syllabus. Okay, so that's my recommendation for algae and fungi. And then Bryophyta and Pteridophyta. Bryophyta has an excellent book by Dr. O.P. Sharma only. So algae, fungi and Bryophyta, you can rely on Dr. O.P. Sharma's book. It will more than adequately cover whatever the examination requires. And for Pteridophyta, go for Dr. A. Rashid's book. Amazing book, and it covers the evolutionary aspects, which is very important for pteridophytes when it comes to examination question. So this is the book for Pteridophyta. And taking a short pause, let me tell you, if you are reading these books, if you are doing these books, consider your job done only when you have made self notes on each and every topic. If you imagine that by relying on the books, underlining, highlighting, you are going to answer well in the main examination, you are not going to. Before the main examination teaches you this harsh reality, trust my words, start making notes. You will save your attempt and you will be scoring well right from the very first attempt. So make sure that you are doing this. And when you are making self notes, try not copying each and every sentence that the book has given. Understand the things, and in the second reading, try to make notes on the topics which are important because they are mentioned in the syllabus, or at least on which question has been asked. That completes cryptograms, and that also completes section A of paper 1. Now we move to section B of paper 1, and phanerogams starts with gymnosperms, and then it will be angiosperm systematics and taxonomy, the families, and then embryology and plant anatomy. Here are the books. Gymnosperms by Bhatnagar and Moitra, an amazing book, most comprehensive book, and most authoritatively written book. There is every topic which is there in the syllabus, which has been asked and can be asked in the examination, is more than adequately covered, and very nicely illustrated book. You can simplify the illustrations which are given in this book. It will meet with all the examination requirements for the civil service main or the Indian Forest Service main examination. Gymnosperm happens to be very important. Every year you can expect minimum 2 short notes on gymnosperms, and sometimes at the expense of plant anatomy they can give you 3 short notes on gymnosperm. Therefore do this area very well. Angiosperm systematics, Dr. Gurucharan Singh's book on plant systematics is the best book on plant systematics written by any Indian author, no doubt about it. Every topic, and this is a very important topic, minimum 70 marks are allocated to this area alone every year in botany. Minimum 70 marks out of 250 marks. So alone this accounts for more than 25% of botany paper 1, and this one book covers the principles of systematics, the modern approaches of systematics, and the description of angiospermic families as well. So a single book, and that will take care of all your systematics and angiosperm family requirement if you are preparing on your own. And then we come to plant anatomy. Plant anatomy does not have many books written by Indian authors, and some of the best books have been written by overseas authors like A. Fan or Catherine Isau. But if you are looking for an Indian author's book where there are good examples, good illustration, and simple explanation, there is no book better than Dr. B.P. Pandey's book. There are a couple of other books also, but I fear that they have gone out of print, and I searched on Amazon and Flipkart, but I was unable to find those books even listed on Amazon or Flipkart. So I can safely assume that those books have perhaps gone out of print. Therefore, I am not mentioning them. Therefore, I am not even recommending them. This book is easily available. It has been brought out by S. Chand Publication, Dr. B.P. Pandey's book on plant anatomy. It covers all the topics very nicely. Maybe there is one topic where you will have to do a little bit of research on your own, but you can very well do that. That is essentially the development of trichomes. It gives you the types of trichome, but the development of trichome is something that is slightly inadequate, and xylem and phloem differentiation is also slightly inadequate. But xylem and phloem differentiation is reasonably well covered in plant tissue culture book under the chapter of differentiation that I am going to recommend you shortly. So from there you can do xylem and phloem differentiation. Okay. Now here we are, embryology and plant tissue culture. So for embryology, no other book than the book written by Dr. Bhojwani, Dr. Bhatnagar and Dr. Dantu. No other book better than this one, not only in India, but I can safely say globally, no better book has been written on angiosperm embryology. Safely rely, year after year, I would say generation after generation, the botany students have relied upon this book. Amazing combination of conceptual clarity, relevant example, good illustration, but you will need to make notes out of it. When it comes to morphogenesis, this is the book by Dr. M.K. Razdan, Plant Tissue Culture. Single book, covers all the topics, and in differentiation you will also find an account of xylem and phloem differentiation that is otherwise mentioned in plant anatomy syllabus. So that is about embryology and morphogenesis, and embryology happens to be a very important topic, very important topic. A lot of questions are asked. And finally, economic botany. There are two books on economic botany, and here my choice has been which book is more compact. And the book that is more compact is written by Dr. B.P. Pandey. I was also tempted to recommend you Economic Botany of the Tropics by Dr. S.L. Kochar, an amazing book. Even in overseas university, when it comes to economic botany of tropics, that book is the go-to book, but the book is a little more voluminous compared to what the UPSC requires. UPSC requires you to have a very basic understanding of economic botany in category wise, and that the BP Pandey book will be giving you more than amply. Therefore, you depend on this book. But by any chance, if you have done Dr. S.L. Kochar's book on economic botany, no, stay with that book. You don't need to buy this book. And now let's move to paper 2. Paper 2 has lesser number of topics, but topics are individually bigger. In paper 1, there are more number of topics, but individual topics are smaller. Paper 2 has got cell bio, paper 2 has got genetics, breeding, biotechnology, plant physiology and biochemistry, ecology and plant geography. Let's start. First and foremost, cell bio. If you have studied a foreign author's book in cell bio during your graduation years, like Karp textbook on cell bio, Loddish textbook on cell bio, Cooper textbook on cell bio, then by all means stay with that book, make your notes. But if you have not studied any of the foreign author book in cell biology, go for Dr. P.K. Gupta's book on cell bio. Quite well updated, and at least it meets all the demands of the civil service examination. Go for this one. It is simply written. It has been written with a very nice structure. You will find it easy to make notes from this book. So Dr. P.K. Gupta's cell biology. And when it comes to genetics, again the same thing. If you have studied an overseas author's book, let's say Klug and Cummings or Benjamin Pierce or any such book that you have read in genetics, it is great. Stick with that book. But if you are looking for a book, what to read in genetics for botany, then Dr. B.D. Singh's book has no parallel in the Indian market. An amazingly written book. The focus is more on plant genetics and gives you a very nice coverage, dependable coverage of genetics. And because genetics is the second most important area in paper 2, this is the go-to book. Then we come to the books on plant breeding and biotechnology. These are small but important areas. When I say that genetics is very important, I automatically include breeding and biotechnology. So here we have got the book on breeding should be by Dr. Fundan Singh. The reason is that this is a shorter book. And this short book serves very well for the civil service examination. It covers all the topics which are given. And because in plant breeding, the questions are fairly straight, this short volume will save you time, but it will give you very nice level of coverage. And for plant biotechnology, go for the book written by Dr. B.D. Singh. Either you can go for this book, or there is another book by the same author, Dr. B.D. Singh, titled Plant Biotechnology Expanding Horizon. No, that book is titled Biotechnology Expanding Horizons. So either you can go for Biotechnology Expanding Horizons, or you can simply go for Plant Biotechnology. Okay. Now we come to the biggest area of plant physiology. Up until now, my recommendation for plant physiology used to be Tays and Zeiger book, whatever the latest edition that is available. But now I can proudly say that there is one Indian book that so beautifully meets the demands of civil service examination, that is nearly as updated as Tays and Zeiger book, nearly as updated. And for you to understand this book, for you to make notes from this book is going to be way easier than Tays and Zeiger book. And that book is written by Dr. S.L. Kochar and Gujral. Go for this book. This is the best book on plant physiology written by any Indian author. Covers entire syllabus of plant physiology very, very well. One or two odd short notes might be out of this book, but you can always go for internet-based research and you will find coverage of those topics also. So here is the book, Plant Physiology by S.L. Kochar and Sukhbir Kaur Gujral. Go for this book. Okay. And finally, Ecology and Plant Geography by Dr. P.D. Sharma. This book has been a classic book. For again several generations of botany students, this has been the go-to book. You will not regret reading your ecology from this book. Yes, this book has one limitation. The applied topics are not all that updated as they should be, but then there is no problem because you are anyway going to study environmental ecology for your general studies. And when you study environmental ecology for your general studies, you are anyway going to have updated data that you can insert in your botany ecology preparation. So that way you will be adding value, you will be enhancing value of your botany answer, and at the same time your botany core knowledge of ecology will be making general studies ecology way easier. So that covers the ecology part very, very satisfactorily. Last but not the least, you should be making notes in all these areas for all the topics that you have decided to do. And now that is the entire list of books that you are expected to study, expected to consult in botany if you are going for self-study. If you are going for coaching, do not buy a single book. Then let me suggest what you have to do. Let me give to you what you have to do. So that should be very, very clear. Then it will be pointless to spend money on these books and later on feeling bad that I didn't get to read any of these books. Okay. Now, the next part is how to use these books. This is the last segment of this discussion. These are the 6 points that you have to keep in mind. First and foremost, if you have not studied botany as your major subject in graduation, build the basics from zero level book. After that, cover paper 1 because paper 1 is classical botany. If you have not come from botany background, there will be a natural urge to do paper 2 first because that is more or less general botany. But paper 2, if it is easy, if it is conceptual, it will remain easy and conceptual. First, get paper 1 out of your way, which is pure botany. There you are going to put in a little more extra effort. But if paper 1 is doing well, there is no stopping you from getting 160 to 170 in paper 1 if you do it well. So go for paper 1, then move to paper 2. And then you should exactly know what you are reading the book for. You do not have to read any book cover to cover. You have to pick up your topics, your subtopics very, very carefully based on your analysis of what has been asked and what may be asked. Remember, UPSC is not going to ask all the future questions based on what all it has asked in the past. It is going to ask a number of new questions, but what new questions can be asked to you? You can get a very good glimpse of those questions by looking at the past. So history helps you understand the future better. Okay, so know exactly what you are reading for. Underline the key concepts and facts during the reading one. During reading one, do not make notes. Otherwise, you will end up making very voluminous notes, which will be very hard to revise. Note making should be restricted to reading two. By that time, you would have developed some insight into the subject, and that insight will help you make mature, concise, and balanced notes. And after reading two, after making notes, you should not be required to go back to the textbook, because all that the textbook had to offer, all that you had to extract out of the textbook, that has already come in your notes. So after this, you should ideally be free from the requirement to go through the book. Now your notes are your thing to revise as many times as you can. That will speed up your revision at least 5x to 10x, and that will be putting you on the fast track to score 300 and plus. There is no other shortcut. Now, in the next video, we are going to see how to study botany, how to make notes, and how to revise, and how to still balance botany preparation with general studies, because general studies has got such humongous syllabus that the day you decide to prepare for the civil service examination, from that very day you have to start working for general studies. Therefore, it is important to balance your optional subject with general study, and I will teach you how to do that, but that will be happening in the next video. So till we meet again, thank you so much for being in this series. I hope you are getting value from this series. Stick to this series for the next few videos also, and your botany will be on its right track. Goodbye and good luck everyone. Thank you for being with this series.